I need you to hate so I can use you for your energy.
This is Real Sales Talk. Real sales advice from real sales practitioners. Giving you tips on how to dominate your sales quota are your co-hosts, Sean Mitchell and Phil Keene. What's going on, Real Sales Talk family? It's Sean. We are going live with TechTalk 36, and guess who we've got on the show? We've got our friend Chris Smith. We actually interviewed him last week, but we just had so much to cover. We decided to bring him back on for TechTalk to talk about a couple of tools that I think you'll really, really love. So, Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excited for Real Sales Talk family to get their hands on the actual interview we did with you last week that should come out in a week's time from when listeners are hearing this recording. So can't wait for that. I think they're going to really, really love it. We've brought you back on to talk about a couple of tools that I think will be really valuable for our listenership. So the first one is a sales app called Chorus. What is this one doing for you and your team? How is it providing benefit?
Sure. This is an awesome new technology. It's actually, it's Chorus.ai. So instead of .com, it's .ai, which is artificial intelligence. And the concept is, sales managers for years have listened to calls, this call is being recorded for quality assurance. And then you would coach your, reps based on the calls that you heard. But when you have an hour or 30-minute call, it can become inefficient to try to listen to every call. The other thing is, it's also nice to know what's happening on the calls that lead to a closing versus what's happening on the calls that don't. So Chorus, if you want me to do a little screen share here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll pull up their website because they've got some nice visuals. But basically, it's listening to the call and it's showing you here's the average percentage of time that the rep is talking compared to the lead. And if you know who your top reps are, and you see that your top rep is at 64%, not talking, and your bottom reps are at 64% talking, it's insanely helpful. We were able to figure out that one of our new sales guys, he was at 9% listening. So 91% of his calls, he was talking.
Yep, doing too much talking.
Even though he was new. So his defense mechanism, his crutch was talking more when he needed to actually listen more. So the other thing that's really cool that it does is it actually will let you put in keywords. So let's say you're a real estate agent and you want to hear how your buyer's agents are explaining commission, or how they're explaining, they're talking to a seller and how they're explaining the next steps and how the process will work. You can put in the word process. You can put in the word pictures. You can put in the word Zillow. And it'll actually pull clips focused on just that keyword. So we use this every week. Our sales manager listens to the clips based on the keyword of the week. We then bring those clips onto our weekly sales huddle, listen to them as a group, dissect them, diagnose them. Chorus.ai. We absolutely love it.
It's sick.
Such a cool tool. And there's very few tools in sales, compared to, at least in marketing. Marketing, there's a new tool every day. And in sales, it's we get left out. So we're huge fans of Chorus.ai.
This is sick. I think, so I see this from a couple of different perspectives. Number one, as a sales manager, you probably already have a tool that's recording conversations, but what are you doing with those conversations? You're probably listening to the entire thing, or maybe putting it at 1.5 times speed or 2 times speed and having to listen to the entire thing. This, Chris, sounds like something that will allow you to key into specific phrases that you're most interested in.
Yeah, it's got X-ray vision. It's got the transcript. The other thing they just added, which is great, is if you're in software sales and you're doing a screen share, it also now captures that. So we could show here's how Neil does a walkthrough of our website versus Darren. So it's got the talk track. It's also got the screen recording. Super cool stuff. Chorus.ai. And you're right. If you're a good sales manager, you're either listening to recordings or you're listening to calls in real time. But it's really, really neat. Anybody that tries it, very affordable, Sean. When we got the demo, we were waiting on them to like drop the bill on us, and it was actually very affordable for any business.
That's great. It sounds like a good sales rep that did a good job at building up value before he talked about pricing.
Definitely.
Cool. So you've got another tool, a resource that I wanted you to share with our Real Sales Talk audience, because I think it'd be really interesting. I think our audience would really enjoy this. So Chris, talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then that I think will provide some framework for this next resource that you're about to share.
Sure. Yeah. So I've, for the last 4+ years, have run a very fast growing company. We've been featured by Forbes and Inc. and Entrepreneur Magazine. I have 2 best-selling books. We've won a bunch of accolades in our industry and outside of it. And we've also grown our revenue to about 15 million in annual recurring revenue. And as you get busy, as you kind of are running the sales team and the marketing team and trying to motivate all the troops, as you go from 0 to 5 to 55 employees, it's just a lot of work. And there's so many podcasts and webinars and books and stuff out there where, people like yourself and myself, we stop what we're doing because we want to create content and we want to grow our business and help our community. And so there was always this sort of like hard stop between, working and creating. And I was listening to Gary Vee talk about this idea of just documenting. Mm-hmm. And as the company got busier, it's like, you know what? How about instead of telling people how to run their business, I will just record the calls while I run mine. Yeah. So when I meet with my sales team and when I meet with my marketing team, I try not to waste any of their time. I'm not going to get my employees into a huddle and not cover something important. And so now I'm recording my calls every week and I'm publishing those as a podcast. So a couple of the early episodes are, we had a great call the other day with our sales team about what you should do differently when things are slow. Like I gave 8 ideas so you could hit your sales goals in the summer. For us, July is a slow month. For other businesses, it could be a different month. But there are things you should do as a salesperson when it's slow that you normally never should do when you're busy. I also went through this really huge report from Salesforce, and it was like the state of marketing. Here's all the most important trends and tools and tricks. And sometimes these reports are nauseating. They're just too long, and it's hard to find the nuggets. So I literally combed through that and then presented that to my marketing team last week, and that's going to be an episode. So it's calls across the board: sales, marketing, leadership, motivation. I have calls where venture capitalists want me to pitch Curaytor to them. I have calls where I have to, hire somebody or maybe even let somebody go. And I'm just trying to be really transparent and different. So I'm documenting what I'm doing every week and putting it online.
I love it. I think that's going to be really interesting. And it's almost like a fly on the wall perspective of someone who's running a very successful business and how he is handling different situations and scenarios, the highs and the lows, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the highs and the lows. I mean, our talk last week was about change and the challenge of change. I mean, our talk this week was about what happens when your clients are mad at you and dealing with tough conversations. And, the real work that it just feels like when everybody blogs or when everybody like creates content, they ignore all the hard parts.
Yeah.
They just make it seem like life is great. Oh, here's 8 more Instagram tips. Here's 6 more Snapchat ideas. Like, this shit is fucking hard, dude.
Yep. I agree. And I've already subscribed to it. I hope our listeners will go and subscribe to it. Clearly, this is on SoundCloud.
It's on SoundCloud. On iTunes. It's highly produced. We have professional equipment. It's also in iTunes. It's called Calls with Chris Smith. Listen as I run my business. And in the past, I've done mostly video stuff. And in the past, I've never put out more than 1 thing a week. So to be putting out, an audio-centric show, Stitcher, iTunes, it's going to be an iHeart, to have an audio-first show that comes out 3 times a week.
Wow.
Is really exciting for me after having had books and blogs and YouTube shows. I'm pumped to get into the audio world head first.
Totally. Yeah, I love it. Well, Chris, thanks so much for coming on the show. I hope everyone goes and checks it out and hits subscribe. I know that when you listen, you're going to get some fantastic takeaways. You're going to learn some new things, and you're going to be able to implement something into your own business and your own sales process. So go check it out. And Chris, thanks so much for coming on. This is actually the first time we've interviewed or had a guest on Tech Talk. So thanks for being our first Tech Talk guest.
Sure, no problem. Hope it was valuable.
Absolutely, 100%. Can't wait to get this out. So Real Sales Talk family, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.